All right, now you're going to want to open up Notepad++, and I'll just close these files down. And we're going to create a new document. So you should have a new there. And to start off with, save it before we do anything else. Now we're going to save it into that internal practice folder that we created before. And we're going to call it index.php. So this is going to be the first page that loads when we see when we load this web page essentially. So when we go into the www folder in UWAMP, or if we go here, www site, it'll be, and click on this, internal practice, it'll be the first page that loads. So let's go back to here, index.php, click save. We are going to start off with an exclamation mark, doc type, HTML. I'm not putting PHP tags at the top yet because I don't actually need them just at the moment. In fact, I may not need them at all. And it's still okay to call your file PHP even if it has no PHP in it. So I've got my HTML tags here, and I'll just zoom in so that you can see this a little bit better. I've got my HTML tags here. I might change the style configurator, something a bit more readable on screen. That might be better. Nope. Let's find something that's really readable. That should be good. Okay. So then I've got the head. And inside the head, I'm going to have a link, href equals style.css, and the type, or the rel, sorry, is going to equal style sheet. And I'll close that up there. Now I'm also going to put in a title, and the title should be something appropriate. So sports entry page, King's High School, and the title. Now some of you may have picked up already that we don't actually have a style sheet yet. That's okay, we can still put the link in, and so when we create it, it will work. Then I'm going to add the body tags. There is a way in Notepad++ that you can set up automatically closing tags. And after a quick check, apparently it doesn't unless you have a plugin. There are other editors out there that will do that for you. So you type in the opening P tag, it'll put in a closing P tag, and so on. So I'm going to put in a header, and there's no reason not to use H1 in this case. I might put in sports entry forms and H1, and then I might put in some instructions. So fill out the following form. Ensure you spell your name correctly. P. There is no need to close a paragraph tag. You can if you want, but it's not necessary unless you want to be particularly perfect about it. So I will close it off, but it's not necessary. Please fill out the following form. Ensure you spell your name correctly. Let's go H2 again. Instructions. H2. P. Enroll. 1L. In up to 3 events. You must enroll in 1 track and 1 field. Okay, so let's create a form. We may as well add in the action now, insert.php, because we know that's what it will be, method equals post, even though we haven't actually created that yet. It is important for you to also comment in HTML, which is not something we've done yet, but to comment in HTML, it's the opening chevron, exclamation mark, 2 dashes. And to finish a comment, it's 2 dashes and a closing chevron. And you can write anything you want in between here. So what I'm going to write here is, below is the form to allow users to input data into the DB. It's not a very useful comment because it's fairly obvious, but you should put in some comments, especially when it comes to the PHP stuff, and there is a different way to do PHP comments. I'm pretty sure it's 2 forward slashes, but we'll check that in a moment. So I've got the form and I'm going to end the form underneath it. I find it handy to put the closing and opening tags in at the same time, just so I don't forget to do it later. And then in here we're going to have an input type equals, and the type's going to equal name. Now there are, if you wanted to have a look, and I'll just find some, input types HTML5, you can actually get a whole lot of different input types. And some of them are really cool because they make data validation really, really easy. So for example, something like email, if you were to put input type equals email, well, this is what happens. Email is not supported in Internet Explorer 9, but that doesn't seem to support anything. If I type in g@g.com, okay, that's fine. I click submit, it works, except it's giving an error there, but that's just telling me what the input was received at. But if I type in gog.com and click submit, well, because this is type email in HTML5, it knows this isn't an email address, and it actually says please include an @ symbol in the email address. Gog.com is missing an @. So gog.com will take you to a different website. I think it takes you to Good Old Games. Yeah, it does. And there's a few others in here. Input type number. And so have a look, because you can put in some really cool things. You could actually set it up so that they input their age as they were at the start of the year, and then you could do some PHP on that and check what age group they're meant to be in rather than let them select themselves. So there's a few different things in here: telephone numbers, the time and the date, and there's lots of different tags that you can use. Email is probably the most useful one for you, and there's also some other ones like color picker and so on. But there's some cool cool tags in there and types that you can use. I'm just going to use input type equals text, my mistake. Type equals text, name equals name. And you can put in a default value as well if you wanted to. Now, their name is not really going to be useful to have a default value, so I'm going to leave that empty. And of course, at the start, the name. Okay, so next one, P. It was house. Input type equals text. Name equals house. But if you remember, there was actually a better way to do this, which it was still with the P, house, and then the select, name equals house, and we go option, value equals SSH, close that option, value equals SFY, close that, SFY, option value equals WY, I'm not sure if that's a house group, WWY, option, and the select. Now I'm pretty sure that we put the name here, but we may end up having to put it in here instead. I'm not sure. We'll find out shortly. But either way, that's how we create an option box. So let's just take a look at what this actually looks like at the moment. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got the name box here. We've got the house underneath where they can select the house they're in. There's lots of different ways I could do this. So I could actually lay it out in a table and have all the things on top and then the things to type in underneath. Not put any border on the table. It would look quite nice. I might make that example shortly. So I've got a few different things here and that select box. Let's go on to the next one, which was group. So we'll another paragraph. I could actually, I'll just show you something here. If I put a BR here, a break, instead of a paragraph, and open Chrome up, and I'll refresh this, you'll notice the gap between these gets a bit smaller. So paragraphs will put in gaps unless you style them not to. So that's up to you. I'm going to leave them with the gap for now. P, and this is going to be age group. Select name equals group. Have option value equals under 19. Sometimes it's better to start with the top value as the most common one. And so since there's so many year 9s, that might be the one that you start with. We can change this here. There we go. And I'll just add in another one. I don't really need to add many. Under 15. And that select. And then we've got some different checkboxes. So I'm going to put these on a new line just by themselves. I'm going to go input 100M. And I'm going to do a few different examples for these. 100M. And then we go input equals input type equals checkbox. Name equals 100M. Value equals 1. So I still have to send that value through, and this is where it gets a little bit fiddly, because like I said before, when the PHP goes through, when I hit this post and it sends all the variable names, so it sends all the values through in those post variables. If this isn't checked, it's not going to send it, which can be a bit of a problem. So at the moment I've got the checkbox there that can be ticked or unticked, and I'll put in another one. I'm going to keep these all on one line. So 200M input type equals checkbox, name equals 200M, value equals 1. And then we've got discus. I'll just copy this. And 3000 meter, copy that and change the names here. Discus. Oh, if you remember from class, I did say that you can't start a value name with an integer. So we'll just reverse those. So it starts with M100, M200 discus, M3000. So if I run this form now, okay, so they're all checked like that. That's how that will work. Instead, what I'm going to do for the discus one, or the 3000 meter one, is still put in here, P, 3000 meter, and then I'm going to put a select box for this. Select name equals M3000, tab, option, value equals 0, so this is the opt-out value, and I'm just going to leave it empty. Option value equals 1, and I'll just leave that. And we're going to make that say enroll option and close off that select there. So select name equals M3000, option value 0, 1. Now when I view this, I should have not there, and I can enroll, so I can opt in or opt out. And the cool thing about this way is I won't have to do all those weird variables on the next page. I can just choose to enroll and not enroll, so it will still send whichever value. So it's going to send that 0 through, or it's going to send the 1 through. So I've got this form here. It looks all pretty good. I'm missing one important component, of course. That is the input type equals submit. And I can have value equals If I type value in here, it can equal whatever I want it to equal. So I might say enroll in events. Enroll might not be the best word. You might be able to think of a better word for that. When I go back into here and hit F5, I've got my button there, enroll in events. Now this form is not laid out very well. And when you do your actual one, you're going to have to lay it out. But in the next video, I'm going to look at some basic styles and just style this up a little bit nicer. In your real one, you should be able to add images. You might want to add some King's images and see what you can do with that. So I'm just going to save this video